The rain lashed against the floor-to-ceiling windows of my loft like it had a personal grudge, turning the Seattle skyline into a blurred watercolor of steel and regret. I gripped the edge of the scarred oak table, knuckles whitening, as Rowan Kane sat across from me, his soaked hoodie clinging to his lean frame like a second skin. $20,000, I said, my voice cutting through the downpour like a dull blade. And you're telling me you can't pay it back? Not now, not ever? His blue eyes, sharp as shattered glass, met mine without flinching, but I saw the crack there, the flicker of a man cornered. He leaned forward, water dripping from his tousled blonde hair onto the table, pooling like tears he wouldn't shed. Logan, I swear, I'd give you everything if I had it, but I don't. So what now? You drag me to court? Ruin what's left of my life? I laughed, a bitter sound that echoed off the exposed brick walls, but it died quick in my throat. Rowan had crashed into my world 6 months ago, a freelance photographer scraping by on gigs in dive bars and wedding crashes, borrowing cash from me like it was loose change. First for gear, then rent, then that godforsaken road trip to chase some ghost of a story in the Cascades. I'd fronted it all because he had this fire, this way of seeing the world through his lens that made my own feel dull by comparison. But fire burns out, and debts don't forgive. Ruin you? I echoed, standing up so fast my chair scraped like a scream. Kid, you're doing that just fine on your own. He didn't move, just watched me pace the length of the loft, past the canvases stacked against the wall. My half-finished abstracts, all jagged lines and muted blues, therapy I couldn't afford anymore. The air smelled of wet concrete and the takeout tie we'd shared last week, back when this felt like friendship instead of a ledger. What do you want then? He asked finally, his voice steady but laced with that edge, the one that said he was used to losing bets. Name it. Anything. I stopped, turned, and the words hung there between us, heavy as the storm outside. Anything. My pulse thrummed in my ears, a reckless heat crawling up my neck. I'd always kept him at arm's length, me, the brooding gallery rat with a trust fund dented by bad art deals. Him the wild card who made me laugh on nights when the city felt too big and empty. But now the line blurred, and I crossed it without thinking. Be mine, I said, the words tasting like ash and adrenaline. For 6 months. My lover. In every way. And the debt's gone. His breath hitched, eyes widening just a fraction, but he didn't bolt. Instead, he searched my face, like he was framing a shot, deciding if the light hit right. Seconds stretched into eternity, the rain a relentless drumbeat. Then slowly he nodded. Okay, he whispered, standing to meet me halfway, his hand brushing mine. Electric, tentative. I agree. That night we didn't sleep. The loft's king bed, with its rumpled sheets smelling of sage and salt air, became our uneasy altar. Rowan's skin was cool from the rain, tasting faintly of the cheap bourbon we'd cracked open to seal the deal. His hands were calloused from hauling camera bags, tracing paths down my chest that made me arch, gasp, forget the ledger scrawled in my desk drawer. This is crazy, he murmured against my neck, his voice rough, but there was no pulling back, not yet. I woke to gray light filtering through the blinds, his head on my pillow, blonde curls fanned out like a halo he didn't deserve. Guilt gnawed at me even as want coiled tighter. Had I just bought him? Or was this the spark I'd been chasing since my last breakup shattered me 2 years back, leaving me hollow as the fairy's slicing Puget Sound? He stirred, eyes fluttering open, and for a moment, it was just us. 2 guys in a city that chewed up dreams, finding something real in the wreckage. But real things bruise easy. By week 2, the arrangement settled into a rhythm, mornings tangled in sheets, his laughter echoing as I burned pancakes in the kitchen. Afternoons where he dragged me to his shoots, me holding reflectors while he captured street kids in Pioneer Square, their faces alive with stories he chased like addictions. You're good at this, he'd say, bumping my shoulder, and I'd shrug it off, but inside, it bloomed warm, dangerous. We ventured out, testing the edges. One evening, fog rolling off the sound like smoke from a dying fire, we walked the waterfront, hands brushing accidental on purpose. He bought me a coffee from that cart near the market, black and bitter, just how I liked. Ever think about why you lent me the money? He asked, steam curling between us. Because you asked? I lied, sipping to hide the truth. Because you looked at me like I was worth seeing. He grinned, That lopsided thing that hit like sunlight through clouds. Liar. You like fixing strays. I shoved him lightly, but the words stuck. Was that it? Me, Logan Harper, 28 and adrift in a family legacy of old money and older silences. Dad's law firm in Bellevue. Mom's garden parties where no one mentioned the son who painted instead of sued. Gay in a world that nodded along but never quite embraced. Rowan was the stray, yeah, but who was fixing who? Nights deepened the pull. After a gallery opening where my pieces hung ignored amid the wine sippers. He'd wait in the alley, cigarette lit, pulling me into shadows for kisses that tasted of validation. They're blind, he'd growl, hands fisting my shirt. But I see you. And God, how I let him. Bodies slick, breaths mingling. We'd lose hours to the push-pull of need. His moans a melody against the city's hum. It was transactional, sure, sex for absolution, but the lines bled. By month 2, cracks showed. He'd vanish for hours, phone silent, returning with excuses about old contacts from his Portland days. I'd find him on the fire escape, staring at the bay, lens cap in hand like a shield. What's out there? I'd ask, sliding behind him, arms around his waist. Ghosts, he'd say, cryptic, leaning back into me. Once I pressed, tell me about the debt. Really? He tensed, then sighed. Bad bet. Ex-partner cleaned me out. Thought the Cascades trip would turn it around. Soldiered through a story on wildfires, but the mag folded before payout. His voice cracked on X, and I didn't push. Not then. Instead, I turned him, kissed the doubt away, bodies crashing like waves on Alki Beach. Fall crept in, leaves turning the parks to fire. We drove to Bainbridge Island one weekend. Ferry slicing mist, his hand on my thigh the whole ride. Picnicked on the bluff, wine from a thermos, talking futures like we had them. After this, he said, tracing my palm. What? You think we'd? I swallowed, heart slamming. Keep going? Yeah. If you want. His smile faltered, eyes on the horizon. Maybe. That maybe lodged like a thorn. But I ignored it, dove deeper. Invited him to family dinner. Mom's roast. Dad's pointed questions about stability. Rowan charmed them, stories of rogue waves and urban foxes. But under the table, his knee pressed mine, a secret anchor. Later, in the guest room, he whispered, they like me. That's new. They should, I said, pulling him close. I'm falling for you, Rowan. Hard. He stilled, then kissed me fierce, like apology and promise tangled. But in the dark, his eyes stayed open long after mine closed. Thanksgiving loomed, turkey-scented air thick with pretense. I cooked, he chopped, our kitchen a battlefield of flour and flirtation. But mid-chop, his phone buzzed, insistent, ignored until the third ring. He stepped out, voice low on the balcony. I eavesdropped, shame burning. Can't. Not yet. Yeah, the deal's holding. Love you too. Love you too. To who? The ex? A creditor with a soft touch? I confronted him later, over pie crust crumbling like trust. Who was that? Friend from Portland. He lied smooth, but his eyes darted. Nothing. I let it slide, but the seed sprouted doubt, green and vicious. Sex turned urgent, bodies clashing with unspoken accusations. He gave more, whispered my name like prayer, but pulled back after, curling away. This is good, he'd murmur, but it sounded rehearsed. December hit like frost. Holiday lights strung the streets, but our loft dimmed. He shot a gig at a queer bar in Capitol Hill. Drag queens and leather daddies, me nursing a whiskey in the corner. He found me there, dragged me to the dance floor, bodies grinding to synth beats. Forget it, he yelled over the music, lips on my ear. Just us. We stumbled home, shedding clothes in the hall, falling into bed with the city's glow painting us gold. That night, he let me in, really in, vulnerable, trembling, crying out as if breaking free. Logan, he gasped after, forehead to mine. You're ruining me for anyone else. I held him, chest aching with the truth I'd buried. This wasn't repayment anymore. It was love, raw and reckless, and I was terrified he'd see it and run. But he did run, in pieces. Christmas Eve, snow dusting the sound rare as mercy, he vanished. Phone dead, loft empty save his camera bag half-packed. I paced panic rising like tide, calling bars, friends. Nothing. Dawn broke gray, and he returned, eyes red-rimmed, smelling of salt and strangers. Where? I demanded, grabbing his arm. Needed air, he said, shrugging free. Don't. The fight erupted then, words like shrapnel. Debts and deals, lies and lovers. This was supposed to be simple, he shouted, voice cracking. You paid for me, Logan. I'm not yours to keep. I reeled, gutted. Paid? Is that what you think? God, Rowan, I love you. Beyond the money, beyond this fucked up bargain. He froze, face paling. Then, quiet as snowfall. I can't. Not like that. And he walked, out the door, into the whiteout, leaving me shattered on the floor. Days blurred to weeks. January's bite sank deep. Seattle's gloom my mirror. I haunted our spots. The market's fishmongers yelling. The pier where we'd skipped stones. Gallery shows mocked me. Buyers cooing over emotional depth, while mine leaked like a sieve. Friends. Tyler from the studio, Mason the barista, prodded gently. Give him space, or don't. Your call. But space was a void, echoing with his laugh, his touch. I painted feverishly. Canvases of fractured skies, blue eyes dissolving into rain. Selling too, enough to burn the debt note in the sink, ashes swirling like regrets. Freedom but hollow. Then Valentine's irony's cruel joke. A knock faint as hope. There he stood, snow-capped, duffel at feet. Can I come in? I stepped aside, heart a war drum. He looked wrecked. Hollow cheeks, shadows under eyes. I tried walking, he said, shedding coat, voice raw. Hitched to Portland, crashed with the friend. My brother, actually. Told him everything. The debt, the deal. You, brother. The twist stung sweet. Why lie? Fear, he admitted, sinking to the couch. Of this, of feeling it back. My ex, he used me up, left me broke and broken. Thought this was just another transaction. Safe. I sat beside him, not touching. It wasn't. Not for me. He turned, eyes searching. I know. That's why I came back. Because walking away, it gutted me worse than any debt. His hand found mine, tentative. If we try, for real, no strings, will you? The rain had stopped, sun-piercing clouds like grace. I pulled him close, lips brushing his. Yeah, we try. Spring thawed us slow. Shoots together, my lens now, capturing him mid-laugh, wind-tousled on hikes through Discovery Park. Fights still flared. His wanderlust clashing my roots. But we talked them down, words weaving stronger than silence. One night, under stars smudged by city light, he knelt, ring simple silver, etched with a compass rose. Not buying you, he said, voice thick. Just promising direction. I said yes, tears salt on our kiss. The loft bloomed. His prints on walls, my paints in shared corners. Seattle's pulse synced ours. Ferries calling, markets alive. Love, we learned, wasn't ledger or lens, but the space between. Compassion in cracks, freedom in falling, identity in the other's gaze. And in that, we found home. The ferry horn blared as we pulled away from the dock, Bainbridge shrinking to a green smudge against the slate water. Rowan's head rested on my shoulder, his breath warm against my neck. But even in that closeness, I felt the undercurrent. A subtle shift, like the tide pulling out before a storm. We'd been official 3 months now, the ring on my finger a quiet talisman. But lately, his silences stretched longer. His touches lingered with a hesitation I couldn't name. Penny for your thoughts? I murmured, fingers tracing the veins on his wrist. He stirred, flashing that half-smile that still twisted my gut. Just remembering the first time we came here. You in that ridiculous wool coat. Me spilling wine all over the blanket. I chuckled, the memory sharp, October's chill, his laugh echoing as Merlot stained the grass red. You were trying to impress me with that spontaneous toast. Failed spectacularly. Hey, it worked. His eyes met mine, blue and bottomless. But there was a shadow there, fleeting as a cloud over the sun. He turned back to the rail, wind whipping his curls. Logan, about the gallery show next week. I might have to bail. Got a lead on a story, some old mill town up in the Olympics. Could be big. My stomach tightened, the old doubt uncoiling. The one you mentioned last week? Thought we talked about this priorities. We did. He squeezed my hand, but it felt perfunctory. And you're top. But this is a chance to rebuild, you know? After everything. Everything. The debt, the deal, the walking away. I nodded, swallowing the burn. Yeah, go. Just come back. Always. He kissed my temple, but as the fairy churned foam, I wondered if always had an expiration. Back in the loft, unpacking groceries, fresh halibut from the market, crusty bread from the bakery on First. The rhythm felt off, like a song skipping. He hummed while chopping herbs, but his phone buzzed incessantly, screen lighting with texts he dismissed with a flick. Work stuff, he'd say, but once, I glimpsed the name Jude. Jude, the brother, or someone else? I pushed it down, focusing on the sizzle of fish in the pan, the way his laughter bubbled when I oversalted the sauce. Dinner stretched lazy, wine loosening tongues. Tell me about the mill town, I prompted, pouring seconds. His face lit, words tumbling. Abandoned factories, whispers of labor ghosts, photos that could haunt galleries. It's human, Logan, the decay, the resilience. Like us. The word hung sweet, but later, in bed, his body moved with me, mechanical, mind elsewhere. I rolled away, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin. Rowan? I whispered into the dark. Are you happy? Silence. Then his arms snaked around me, pulling close. With you? Yeah. Don't doubt that. But doubt whispered anyway. The week blurred. Me prepping the show. 12 new pieces, all infused with him, blues bleeding into golds, while he packed for the trip. Airport drop-off was quick, his hug fierce but eyes on the terminal doors. 2 days max, he promised, boarding pass crinkling in his fist. Love you more. I watched the plane climb, a silver dart into clouds, and drove home to silence that echoed. The show opened Thursday, Pike Place buzzing below like a hive. Tyler manned the door, Mason poured cheap Merlot, but the crowd milled polite, eyes glazing over my work. Evocative, one critic murmured, but her pen stayed capped. By 9, I'd had 3 sales, peanuts, and the loft called, empty and accusing. That's when my phone rang. Unknown number. Logan Harper? A woman's voice, clipped, East Coast edge. Yeah. This is Lena from the Ridge Valley Gazette. Rowan's shooting here, mentioned your show. Mind if I swing by? Piece on local talent. Relief flooded, sharp as hope. Please, anytime. She arrived whirlwind. 40s, sharp bob, notebook at ready. We talked art, Seattle's soul, and inevitably him. Rowan's gold, she said, sipping Chardonnay. Chased a lead here on old union strikes. Mills shut down in the 70s. Folks still bitter. He's intense about it. Intense. Yeah. That's Rowan. Her eyes softened. He talks about you nonstop. The ring, the debt thing. Says it was the best bad decision he ever made. I laughed, warmth spreading. He said that. Word for word. She jotted a note, then paused. One thing, though. He seemed distracted. Mentioned an old flame stirring trouble. Jude something. Jude. The name landed like ice water. X. She shrugged. Didn't pry. But watch your boy. He's got that look. Like he's carrying the world's weight. She left with promises of ink. But sleep evaded me that night. Jude. Portland X. Or the brother lie unraveling. Dawn brought coffee, black and scalding, and a text. Landed safe. Miss you. Stories killer. I typed back proud. Call tonight? No reply till evening. Busy. Tomorrow. Tomorrow came fraught. The show closed strong. Lena's preview dropped online, buzz building, and I prepped for his return, candles flickering, bed turned down. But the knock wasn't his. It was Tyler, face grim, holding his phone. Dude, check this. A photo. Rowan, arm around a guy, lean, dark-haired, laughing in what looked like a dive bar. Caption, reunions hit different. A Jude Hale old flames. My world tilted. Jude Hale, not brother. The one who'd cleaned him out. Comments flooded. You two back? Missed this vibe. I dialed voicemail. Texted. What the hell? Rowan? Hours crawled. 10 p.m. Door flew open. He, disheveled, bag thudding. Logan! Save it. I thrust the phone at him, voice steel. Who's Jude? His face crumpled, no denial. From Portland. We ran into each other here, small town, bad luck. It was nothing, a drink. A drink with arms around him, laughing like old times. Fury boiled, hot and humiliating. While I'm here, selling our story like a fool? He stepped close, hands up. Please, listen. He texted, knew I was shooting, wanted to catch up. Harmless. But seeing him, stirred shit up. The debt, how he left me drowning. I drank too much, posed for the pic to shut him up. Regretted it the second. Regret doesn't erase it. I paced, heart hammering. This, us, feels like a cycle. You run to ghosts when it gets real. He grabbed my arm, eyes pleading. No, that's why I came back early. Because you're not a ghost, Logan. You're home. Tears tracked his cheeks, voice breaking. I fucked up, but I choose you. Every time. We stood there, breaths ragged. The loft a pressure cooker. Then I pulled him in, kiss bruising, bodies colliding in apology. It was raw, desperate. Nails raking, moans muffled. Ending in tangled sheets, sweat slick and spent. Promise me, I gasped, his weight grounding me. No more secrets. No more, he vowed, fingers lacing mine. But promises bend under weight. Summer unfurled lazy over Seattle, the rare sun gilding the sound like liquid gold. But our thaw came slower, laced with the grit of rebuilding. Rowan's apology lingered in gestures. Coffee runs before dawn shoots. Notes tucked in my sketchbook. Saw this light, thought of you. The Jude incident scarred us. A thin line like the one on my palm from a childhood fall. But we traced it together, talking late into nights sticky with heat. He was chaos, Rowan confessed one evening. Feet in my lap on the balcony. City lights winking below. Took everything, money, heart. Left me chasing shadows. You're steady. Real. I squeezed his ankle, pulse jumping under skin. Steady sporing. But I'll take it if it means you stay. He leaned in, kiss soft as dusk. Boring's underrated. The gallery hummed post-show. Commissions trickling. Portraits of tech bros who wanted soul, without the mess. Rowan landed a spread in a Portland mag. Milltown ghosts immortalized in stark black and white. We celebrated at that speakeasy in Belltown. Jazz murmuring low. His hand warm on my knee under the table. To us, he toasted, glasses clinking. No debts, no doubts. But doubts a weed, roots deep. Mid-July, his phone lit with Jude's name again. Not texts, calls he silenced quick. Blocked him, he swore when I raised a brow. For good. I believed him or tried. We escaped to the Olympics that weekend. Cabin rental perched on a bluff. Pines whispering secrets. Days blurred to hikes through fern-choked trails. His camera clicking my profile against waterfalls. Nights to fireflies and firelight. Bodies slow burning under stars. Marry me proper? He murmured one dawn. Spooned behind me, voice husky with sleep. Vows, not rings. Make it official. My heart swelled, turning in his arms. Yeah, Vegas. We're here with the trees. Here. His grin lit the room. Intimate. Just us, Tyler officiating, guys ordained from that weird festival last year. Laughter bubbled. Easy. And we planned lazy. Wildflowers, craft beer, Mason baking the cake. Hope tasted like that, fresh, fragile. August brought heat waves, the loft a sauna. I painted in the raw, sweat beating as colors bled vivid. He edited prints at the kitchen table, feet tangled with mine. But one afternoon, storm clouds boiling west, he came home late, smelling of rain and something sharper, like cologne not his. Traffic, he said, stripping for the shower, but his eyes skittered. I nodded, but later, rifling laundry for quarters, mundane, stupid, I found it. A matchbook from the Anchor Portland dive. Jude's haunt, from stories he'd told. Coincidence? Or detour? Confrontation brewed slow. Dinner that night, grilled salmon, corn-charred sweet. He chattered about a client meet, but my questions sharpened. Portland run? Without telling me. He paused, fork midway. What? No, clients local, but we grabbed lunch across the bridge. Why? The matchbook. I slid it across, voice even. In your jacket. His face drained, then flushed. Logan. Shit. He set the fork down, hands trembling. Okay. Truth? I drove over. After the call last week, he left a voicemail apologetic, wanted closure. Thought if I faced him, it'd end the noise in my head. Noise. The word tasted bitter. While we're planning forever, you chase closure with the guy who broke you. I know. He reached for me, but I pulled back. It was stupid. We talked, yelled mostly. He owns his mess. Said sorry for the debt scam. I left angry. Matches from the bar next door. Came home to you. Always. Anger warred with ache. Always feels conditional lately, like you're half out the door. No. He stood, rounding the table, kneeling before me, vulnerable, raw. I'm scared. Okay? Of messing this up. You're the best thing, Logan, the only thing that feels like mine. Let me prove it. He did. That night. Slow, reverent, mapping my body like sacred ground. Whispers of sorry and love wove through gasps, binding us tighter. Morning brought coffee in bed, his head on my chest. Therapy, I suggested soft. For both. Unpack the ghosts. He nodded against me. Yeah, together. We started sessions downtown, that cramped office with the fern and the empathetic shrink, Carla. Tuesdays became ritual. Spilling histories. My closeted teen years in Bellevue, Dad's silences. His Portland spiral, Jude's betrayal leaving him penniless, adrift. Carla nodded, prodded gentle. Trust rebuilds in actions, not words. Actions followed. He deleted contacts, shared passwords, transparency's armor. We hiked more, his lens capturing not just light, but us. Intertwined on logs, laughing at mud-slick falls. September's equinox, we exchanged provisional vows under madrona trees. Tyler fumbling lines. Mason's cake lopsided but lemon bright. Rings renewed. Simple bands etched with dates. Debt's end. Love start. Fall gilded edges again. But peace felt earned. Deep. One evening, gallery closing early. I found him on the fire escape. Album open. Prints from our first months. Blurry shots of rain-slick streets. My profile in lamplight. Nostalgia trip? I teased, sliding beside. Gratitude. He closed it, turning to me. For seeing me, even when I was lost. I kissed his temple, heart full. Mutual. But life's no straight shot. October's chill brought news. A fellowship, his name on the shortlist, 6 months in New York, queer photojournalism grant. It's huge, he said over Thai takeout, eyes alight. Could change everything. Everything, echoed hollow. And us. We'd manage. Weekends, calls. You're my anchor. Anchor. But ropes fray. I nodded, masking the churn. Congrats. Deserve it. He pulled me close, oblivious. We'll make it work. November rains returned, drumming doubts. Applications loomed. He poured hours into portfolio. Loft littered with proofs. I supported. Drives to labs. Pep talks over beer. But nights, alone in bed, fear gnawed. New York's pull, bright and brutal, swallowing him whole. Thanksgiving we hosted Tyler, Mason, Carla, even improbable circle. Turkey golden, stories flowing, but his phone buzzed mid-toast. Acceptance email. Cheers erupted. He hugged me fierce. We did it. Yeah, we. But as plates cleared, he pulled me aside. Logan. I want you to come. Or visit. Make it ours. Tempting, but roots ran deep, gallery ties, family whispers. Maybe summers. I hedged. Trial run. His smile dimmed, but he nodded. Okay, trial. Winter whispered endings. December, fellowship start looming, he packed tentative, NYC crash pad scouted. Flights booked. Our rhythm fractured. Late edits, early calls. Sex turned hurried, affection clipped. You're pulling away. I accused one night, sheets twisted. AM not. Defensive, hurt. Just stressed. Big move. Big move for you. What about us? He sighed, rubbing temples. We'll figure it. Figuring faltered. Christmas Eve, snow dusting rare, he suggested a drive. To that overlook near Snoqualmie. Stars are ceiling. We talked dreams. His gritty exposés, my solo show in Chelsea maybe. But under it, tension hummed. Logan, he said finally, voice small. What if I go, and it's too much? Distance, choose love. Then we fight it. I gripped the wheel, knuckles white. Like we fought the debt, the ex together. He nodded, but eyes stayed on the dark. Back home, gifts exchanged. Leather journal for me, compass cuff for him. We made love slow, deliberate, etching memory. But dawn brought the crack. His bag by the door, flight at noon. Airport loomed, terminal a blur of goodbyes. 6 months, he promised, arms tight. Then we reassess. Love you, I whispered, kiss tasting of salt. You too. He walked the jetway, silhouette shrinking, and I drove home to echo. January's gray swallowed me. Loft vast, bed cold. Calls came daily. His voice tinny over miles, stories of Chelsea galleries, subway rats. Miss your pancakes, he'd joke, but fatigue laced it. I visited once, February freeze. Manhattan's bite, his tiny walk-up alive with prints. Nights tangled, city roaring outside, but morning brought reality. His schedule crammed, my flight pulling. Stay longer? He begged, coffee steaming. Can't. Show prep. Back in Seattle, distance stretched thin. Texts lagged, calls cut short by deadlines. March, a package. Photos from New York, us framed amid skyscrapers. Hopeful, but the note read, holding on, barely. My reply same. Talk soon? Silence 2 days. Then busy. Love you. Love you. Period. April bloomed cruel. Gallery thrived. Solo show sold out. Critics praising tender vulnerability. But victory tasted ash. Tyler dragged me out. Capitol Hill bars pulsing. But eyes scanned crowds for blonde curls that weren't there. Mason slipped me a beer. Give him space, man. Or call it. Call it. The thought lodged, terror and relief. May, his call came ragged, 2 a.m. my time. Logan. I can't. Heart plummeted. Can't what? This. The distance, it's killing me. Jude called again, showed up at a bar. Nothing happened, but it reminded me how easy it is to slip. Slip. The word eviscerated. So you're slipping? No. Desperate. I'm saying I need to focus. The fellowship, me, is too much with everything. Everything meaning me. Voice flat. Breaking. Pause. Knife twist. I'm sorry. I love you, but I have to walk. For now. Walk. Again. I hung up, phone shattering against wall, shards like my resolve. Days bled. Painting manic, sleep pill-fueled. Friends rallied, dinners, hikes, but hollowed. I wandered the waterfront, ferries mocking crossings unmade. June solstice, longest day, brought the letter. Handwritten, postmark NYC. Logan, words fail, but try. You saved me from debt, from myself. But love? I wasn't ready. Not fully. Going solo isn't betrayal, it's mercy. For both. Find your light. I'll find mine. Maybe paths cross again. Rowan. Mercy. Bullshit. I burned it in the sink. Ashes black as betrayal. But under rage, truth. He'd given freedom. Forced mine. Gallery expanded. I mentored kids at the center, their stories raw mirrors. Dates flickered. Hunter, the sculptor, easy laugh. But none stuck. Ghosts lingering. Fall returned. Leaves a carpet of caution. One rainy afternoon. Package. Camera. Lens pristine. Note clipped. Sold the story. This for your next chapter. I slung it. Shots framing new life. Streets alive. Faces unscarred. Healing inch by inch. Winter's end. Spring tentative. A call. His voice. Hesitant. Hey, can we talk? Yeah. No anger, just ache. Coffee. We met at the market. Fishmongers yelling unchanged. He looked older, lines etched, curls tamed, but eyes same blue, searching. I ended it wrong. He started, steam rising between. Walked because I panicked. The fellowship? It stripped me bare, saw my patterns, the running. Therapy helped, finally. I nodded, stirring sugar slow. Good. Deserve that. You too. Pause. Heavy. Miss you. Not the deal, the man. Second chance. Heart stuttered, but wisdom held. Maybe. Slow. Friends first. His smile bloomed. Genuine. Friends. We walked the pier, hands brushing accidental, stories flowing cautious. Seattle breathed around us. Resilient. Love, I learned, isn't possession, it's release, the space to grow apart together maybe. And in that, compassion bloomed. For him, for me, for the boy who'd agreed to a debt, become a lifetime. The coffee shop on First hummed with the morning rush, baristas calling orders, the hiss of steam wands cutting through chatter like punctuation in a hurried sentence. I sat by the window, rain streaking the glass in lazy veins, watching the world blur past. Joggers and neon, umbrellas blooming black against gray. Rowan slid into the seat across from me, unwrapping a scarf that smelled faintly of wool and the sharp tang of New York subways. His cheeks flushed from the dash inside. 6 months since the burn of that letter. 3 since his first tentative text. How's the light in Seattle? And now this, coffee, neutral ground, the air between us thick with what-ifs and what was. You look good, he said, voice low, eyes tracing my face like he was recomposing a faded print. The fellowship had honed him, shoulders broader under a fitted Henley, jaw sharper, a quiet confidence that sat easy now, unburdened by the scramble. You too. Truth, not flattery. The chaos had polished him, stripped the boyish edges to reveal the man underneath. I stirred my latte, foam swirling dark. So, friends, what does that look like? He leaned back, fingers drumming the table. A habit from editing sessions, measuring beats. Honest, I guess. No grand gestures, no diving back in blind. I spent the last year dismantling Logan, therapy twice a week, group meets with other photographers who'd burned out chasing ghosts. Jude, cut him clean, finally. Blocked, boundaries drawn. And the work. God, it's good. Exposé on queer youth in the Bronx. Running in the Atlantic next month. Pride flickered. Unbidden. Heard. Congrats. Sounds like you found your stride. Yeah. His smile tilted, self-deprecating. Took crashing hard to see I was running from myself. Not just circumstances. The debt with you? Catalyst. Showed me I could be wanted without strings, but I twisted it, made it a cage. I nodded, the old ache surfacing soft. Hurt like hell. Felt like betrayal reloaded. Was. He met my gaze, unflinching. I walked twice, cowards out. But coming back now. Not to fix, just to be here. If you'll have me around. The server dropped scones, blueberry, crumbly, and we ate in companionable quiet, the city's pulse syncing ours. Stories flowed after. My mentorship gig at the youth center, kids with cameras capturing their corners of Capitol Hill. His crash pad in Brooklyn, rooftop views of bridges at dawn. Laughter crept in. Remembering Tyler's botched vows, Mason's cake avalanche. And for the first time in ages, it felt light, unweighted. We parted with a hug, brief but warm, his chin brushing my hair. Next week? Same time. Yeah. I watched him melt into the crowd, umbrella snapping open, and walked home lighter, the loft less echo. Weeks wove to habit, coffees turning lunches, walks along the waterfront where ferries tooted hellos. He extended the fellowship, NYC pulling, but weekends flew him west, duffel thumping on my stoop. No overnights, not yet. Boundaries, Carla's echo in my head, but evenings stretched. Takeout on the balcony, his prints spread for critique, my sketches for his eye. This one's you, he'd say, tapping a swirl of indigo. Tempest wrapped in calm. You're biased. But his gaze said otherwise, steady now, no shadows. Fall deepened, leaves carpeting paths in copper and rust. One Saturday, we hiked Rattlesnake Ledge, trail steep, rewarding with views of the valley unfolding like a promise. At the top, wind whipping, he pulled sandwiches from his pack, passing one loaded with roast beef and horseradish, just how I liked. Remember our first road trip? That diner in CLELM, you hogging the fries. I grinned, biting in. You stole the last one. Payback's the view. We sat legs dangling over the edge, world vast below. Quiet fell, comfortable, until he spoke soft. Logan, this us slow, it's working. Feels right. Yeah. Heart thrummed, but caution held. No rush. December dusted snow, holidays looming. He stayed through. Tree in the loft, strung with LED stars and his vintage ornaments. Glass blown in Portland. We cooked. His gumbo, spicy as memories. My pie lattice crimped. Family dinner followed. Mom's table in Bellevue. Dad gruff but thawing, toasting to second acts. Rowan fit, stories of Bronx kids bridging gaps. His hand brushing mine under linen, accidental electric. New Year's Eve. We rang it low-key. Rooftop bar in Belltown, city fireworks blooming overhead. As midnight struck, crowds cheering, he turned to me, eyes reflecting sparks. To trying, he said, glass raised. To trying. Our kiss was chaste, promise-laced, the first since the fracture. Winter yielded to spring, his fellowship winding down. Coming back full-time, he announced over faux, broth steaming. Studio space in Fremont, shared with a collective. You in? For the open house? Absolutely. The move blurred April. Boxes hauled, his gear unpacked amid laughter and swear words. Loft visits turned sleepovers, nights tentative, bodies rediscovering rhythms. First time fully, post-move chaos. We tumbled slow. Lights low, hands mapping scars. Mine from doubts, his from runs. Home, he whispered after, forehead to mine, and I believed it. Summer bloomed bold, our rhythm sinking. Joint show at the gallery, his photos, my abstracts, titled Intersections. Sold out opening night. Critics raved. A dialogue of depth, vulnerability rendered visible. Afterparty spilled to the loft, friends toasting till dawn. But we slipped away early, tangled on the rug amid confetti. Yet growth demands friction. July heat wave, his first big gig post-return. Doc on migrant workers in Yakima, weeks on the road. 2, tops, he promised, kissing goodbye. But calls lagged, texts sparse, dust everywhere. Thinking of you. Echoing old distances. Doubt stirred, but I channeled. Therapy solo now, Carla probing. What's the fear say? That he'll bolt again. And if he does, then I survive. Stronger. He returned August, sun-browned, stories spilling over dinner. Faces etched with toil, resilience mirroring his own. Missed this, he said, fork waving. Missed you. We dove deeper. Weekend in the San Juans, kayaks slicing inlets, his laugh echoing off cliffs. Vows renewed proper, courthouse simple, Tyler best man, Mason ring bearer with flair. Rings exchanged anew, vows handwritten. I see you, all fractures and fire. I choose the whole. Fall's harvest brought harvest of us. His Atlantic piece dropped. Buzz leading to talks, TEDx invite, book deal whispers. My solo in Portland beckoned, driving south with him shotgun. Playlists looping our songs. Proud, he murmured, hand on my thigh. Of us. November rains softened to mist. Thanksgiving our spread. Gumbo evolved. Kids from the center joining. Table groaning with thanks. As plates cleared, he pulled an envelope. Lease, joint. Move in? Official. Heart full. Yes. Winter wrapped gentle. Christmas, we gifted experiences. His hot air balloon over the Palouse, mine stargazing yurt in the Cascades. New Year's, same rooftop, but this time his arm around me, world exploding in color. Life layered on. His book signing, my mural commission for the center, walls alive with youth voices. Fights came. His late nights, my overthinking, but aired clean, resolved in talks or touches. Carla retired, we graduated to check-ins, tools internalized. Spring's renewal mirrored ours. One dawn, fog lifting off the sound, he knelt in the kitchen. Pancakes burning forgotten. Box open, ring antique gold. Marry me, not trial, not tentative. Forever. Tears pricked, joy sharp. Yes, God yes. The wedding bloomed June, backyard affair in Bellevue. Mom's roses framing vows, Tyler emceeing, Mason's cake towering. 100 guests, but eyes locked. His blue to my hazel, promises sealing. In fractures we found whole, he said, voice steady. Reception danced to dusk, but we slipped to the bluff, stars emerging. Debts long paid, I whispered, his hand in mine. Love's the only balance now. Kiss deep, world fading. Years wove tapestry. His book tour, my exhibits coast to coast. A cabin purchase in the Olympics, weekends escaping. Conflicts arose. Career pulls, family strains. But rooted deep, we weathered. A nephew arrived, his sister's boy, tiny fists clutching our fingers. Mentorships bloomed, legacies passed. In quiet moments, rain on windows, his head on my chest, I marveled. From ledger to lifetime, transaction to truth. Love's lesson? Not possession, but presence, the grace to forgive, the courage to stay, the humanity in letting go only to hold tighter. And in that, we thrived, free, seen, indelibly us.